Okay, so the blued steel touch-up kit. Okay, the first thing you're going to see is the scope and gun wax, but we'll set that aside for now. That's the last step. All right, and then inside the tube, it's going to be a nice large towel for polishing and cleaning. It has in it a synthetic oil pen, a blue pen, and our rust pencil. We're going to need this, and we just will put a paper towel down. So we don't want a sharp tip, we want a nice, flat, wide tip of lead. Okay, so we start, as you can see, this scope has a lot of really bad ring marks, but you don't know how much is gunk, so how much is surface rust. You have to get that stuff off, and it's going to take some amount of abrasion. Be careful you don't spill it all out, but you can also use this brush in to just apply very liberally to the spot that's developing rust. Okay, then we take our rust pencil, and this is just soft lead pencil, so that when we work this, we are not scratching the bluing, we're just eliminating the grime and surface rust. You just lightly, very lightly, and only where there's oil. Now, rub on that. Just a few times, not too many, or you're gonna scratch your finish. Always put it back. Once you've started moving that oil off of the spot, put it back. Because as soon as you move the oil off of the spot that you're working on, you're gonna start scratching the scope. As you can see, after I wipe this off, look at all that, that's lead. You can see that those ring marks, they looked really, really bad at first, but they're not that bad. The lead pencil removed the grime and removed that light surface rust, and this scope is actually going to be able to be cleaned up once I do the other ring with that lead pencil and mounted. We won't even need to do any blue patch on that scope. There is one here that does need a blue patch for sure, a couple of them actually. So we're going to start by degreasing the area. Before you apply any bluing, it has to be degreased, because otherwise the bluing chemical won't cut that grease, and that grease meaning like oil from your fingers and stuff. Okay, so we're degreasing the area with some rubbing alcohol or acetone. All right, and then we take super glue pen, and we're going to very, very precisely touch the tip of that only in the spot where we're not drawing, we're not coloring it, we're touching it, only in those crevices where the scar was made. And we're going to let that sit for about a minute and work. And then we will use some cold water to wipe that off, neutralize that bluing. We're going to do this a few times. We're going to put a few coats of this on, because we want this to stand up and be protecting this spot for years. This only takes a few minutes, so it's not like it's a big process. Let it sit a minute. And then cold water again to remove it. Okay, and we'll do this a few times, 6 or 8 times, depending on the scar. Now, when it comes to a rifle, in this case, we have one little tiny hairline imperfection on the barrel. I wish it wasn't there, but it is. So first of all, I need to move the wood away from this, because on a rifle, I'm going to actually apply a little bit of heat. Okay. Now, for a scope, you would never use heat. Not too much heat, probably about the least amount that you can get to come out of a torch like this. And just barely. Actually, let's get this wood out of the way. Just move it over a foot. I'm going to warm that up just a little bit. Just like that. All right. And then apply. And once again with some water. But I will hit that little spot again 4 or 5 more times with a minute in between each. And the last step is going to be to wax it all. And our gun and scope wax is for that purpose. It's a microcrystalline wax. It's pH balanced to be neutral so that it won't cause rust or any kind of damage by being too acidic or too alkaline. And it works just like waxing your car. And now this part, the gun and scope wax, can work on blue steel. It can work on painted surfaces like your painted aluminum scopes like the Redfields. Also can work on every part of the gun on the exterior, the wood and on the blued metal. We're just gonna apply it on. Don't get it on the glass, it won't hurt it, but it's just a pain to get that off. That's what our lens wax is for, that comes in our lens cleaning kit. Okay, and then you're just gonna let that sit for a while, just to let it kind of dry to a haze. Then you'll come back and polish it. So just like that, our about 50-year-old scope is cleaned, repaired, protected, looks much better. It's gonna last longer now. And as soon as we wax that gun, this scope will be ready to mount up.